tournament presented by Esports HQ. I'm Tasty Bacon. We'll be joined momentarily by a special guest, Desi Fresh, and we are going to be bringing you tonight's action. Our first game of the night is going to be Darkest Night Gaming taking on Tech Gaming in Division A. We are just waiting for one more member from Darkest Night to get on into the lobby. So once that happens, we will be rejoining you and bringing the action straight to your faces. So until then, just sit tight. We will be right back. All right, going to be unmuting. All right, we are back once again. Tasty Bacon, joined now by the one and only Desi Fresh.
Hiya.
There we go. We are in the lobby. Everybody's ready. Both teams are here. We're about set to kick things off. Week 8, Day 3. We are so close to the end of the regular season now. There's just a week and 2 days left 4 of Last Action. And we are now getting into the picks and ban phase. Once again, this is Darkest Night Gaming taking on Tech Gaming. Darkest Night on the blue side, while Tech is on the red. And
I mean, you know more about these teams than I do, so you'll probably be the one that informs everyone whether or not these picks are going to be primarily general or targeted. The vibe band, we're seeing a lot of vibe bands, not really in professional format, but I'm seeing a lot of amateur tournaments and whatnot, and so I'm kind of surprised at that. You don't really see her all too much.
Yeah, it's definitely also partially just to make sure it stays out of the hands of Blood Wolf. He has tried to use it a couple times this tournament. It hasn't gone too well yet, but it is still, just an extremely strong junglers to kind of take away. Both of these two teams are, unfortunately, at the lower end of the spectrum in their division. The bottom two teams in Division A. So really just playing for pride with so close to the end of the season. I mean, the Division A is already just about locked up. So
yeah, Darkest Night has a record of 1-6, Tech 0-7. So I'm sure either of these teams will be happy to take a game off of one another. Actually, if Tech Gaming wins this, they'll be tied up with Darkest Night for last place.
Yeah, so Tech Gaming definitely wanting to avoid the 0-9 sweep on the season. They're seeing a lot of junglers getting banned away so far. That's 3 of them. I mean, Jarvan can be a top lane too, but still primarily.
Yeah, you don't see him there though. I'm actually surprised that the Jarvan was even banned away after the nerf that his standard received. Like, you just don't see him at all, even in competitive, even in solo queue. He's kind of fallen off in favor of Sejuani. Gragas. I've seen Zach more than Jarvan, to be honest. So seeing that, it's actually extremely surprising.
To be fair, Zach's in a pretty good spot right now with the Cinder Hulk and all that. So it's anyone who's like a tank that can go through the jungle is in a really good position. Cho'Gath also going to be taken off the board. I'm wondering if we might have an issue as there is the disconnect symbol over OG Little Saint on the side of Tech Gaming. Hopefully that's just a graphical issue or something that will be able to be taken care of. I think if he actually did disconnect, they would have already dropped the lobby by now.
Yeah, probably. And then we've moved from jungler bands to then 2 mid lane bands, and finally that support band through the Nautilus. I kind of like the Orianna.
Nautilus could be a jungle as well. I mean,
he could.
I hate Nautilus in the jungle, but it's still a possibility.
Yeah, that's good too. But I like the Orianna band. It takes away a pretty big combo ultimates. You usually use it when you have something to set it up with, like a Gnar or maybe like in this case a Jarvan, but that's on the other team. Sejuani actually getting banned away, so they take away 2 pretty big game fight breaking ultimates.
Yeah, Gragas is still available though. He's another one of those huge game changing ultimates. So I'll have to see if he becomes a
they're leaving that up. Yeah, they're leaving that up, so I'm surprised. This might be the first pick. Yeah, that's actually interesting. You usually expect either the first pick Gragas or the Rek'Sai to come out, because those are probably one of the most played junglers at the moment besides Sejuani.
Yeah, I believe I talked about it yesterday a little bit. One of the stats was at MSI, which obviously was the big international tournament this past weekend. I believe it was 94% of the junglers played were Rek'Sai, Gragas, Sejuani, or Nunu. So it's
and actually
4.
Rek'Sai has a 100% had a 100% pick ban rate. She was either picked or banned in every single game. So you have to know that she's an extremely powerful pick right now, and seeing it gone past through bans and even first pick is so surprising to me. I'm gonna be really interested to see what Darkest Night Gaming's plan is, because they didn't lock in that Rek'Sai.
I mean, to be fair, this is sort of I guess the lower level spectrum, and not everyone can play the Rek'Sai as effectively enough to make it one of those super important picks, as they actually just hovered over it briefly there. Might be going back to that, but if just because Rek'Sai is a top tier jungler, if you aren't able to play her at a proficient level, then there's no real reason to worry about it too much.
Well, the harbor level right now.
Yeah, well, they did actually just lock it in. So Rek'Sai is picked, which with Amumu being picked on the side of Tech Gaming, that does mean that Gragas is going to be going completely by the wayside here. And that one is really even more surprising to me, because a lot more people play Gragas than play Rek'Sai.
Yeah, I mean, I feel as though they have a plan right now with the Amumu and Sivir, because I feel as though one of the main weaknesses of Amumu is that if you miss the bandage toss, it's so difficult to get into the middle of the enemy team and get a nice ultimate off. The Sivir kind of removes that problem, where she'll give the speed boost. Oh, we have a... Yeah, just a bit of an issue, but it's okay. I can talk a little bit more about that as we're waiting for the laner to get back in. But she kind of removes that problem of if he misses the bandage toss, he can't get in. Pop on the hunt. He has that speed boost, so get in close enough where even if he doesn't get the bandage toss on his initial target, he'll probably get it on a secondary target, and then he just sets up the ultimate.
Yep. And for anyone wondering, that was actually, it was a member of Darkest Night Gaming that left because of the issues that Tech Gaming was having. So the two teams had found a way to communicate with each other and say, hey, our mid laner's having issues. Is it cool if we can restart the lobby for it? And Darkest Night agreeing to it, having one of their players drop, and now the mid laner for Little Saint, mid laner for Tech Gaming, is just going to restart his client quickly, and hopefully should be going to be getting back on in. When they do restart, it will be the same picks and bans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they probably don't have to worry about swapping, because I don't think that. Well, I mean, it didn't seem as though the Rek'Sai was going to be locked in for. I think it was Cold Hearted Knight that locked it in for his team. So they could probably. Well, no, they actually do have to go with the same exact picks at the same time, so like they don't solidify anything else earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. By the way, I finally figured out how Hitbox worked. I was having issues with it before. Email is already in use. I can't change my name. I actually made my name my first last name and 5 at the end of it, because that's like what my Facebook username is. But I wanted to change it to Desi Fresh, but I can't now because my email is already in use. So now I have to like email Hitbox support and get like this whole hassle like done with, and it's gonna be really annoying right now. Oh god. Maybe I can just remove my email from their list.
Alright, so we are, again, just going to be waiting for the restart from Tech Gaming's mid laner, and as soon as that goes through, as soon as he does get back in, which he is now back in the lobby, so we should be getting back underway momentarily. Alright, we are back into the pick and ban phase. Should go through pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, same picks, same bans right now. Vi, next is going to be the Sejuani, Jarvan. Oh, okay, so they're switching it up. It's okay. As long as the bans continue through, there shouldn't be an issue, I believe.
Yep, same bans. And I'm fully, again, expecting these same picks to come through as well.
Yeah, but like, we've kind of passed over the Nami pick. I don't know exactly what uh, Team Darkest Knight's going to be going with that. I mean, you usually see in the support position the people that can hard engage and can build tanky. Thresh, Alistar, Nautilus. Then you have the Annie next up after those three. This is all MSI picks, guys. The Annie, I understand because just a huge amount of damage and CC that even if you do get locked down, your job's already done. Mm-hmm. Then there's the Leona. Seeing the Nami, it's going to be really interesting because while you do have that lockdown with Aqua Prison and additional CC with Tidecaller's Blessing, if you're soloed out, you're gonna die.
I mean, it could just be the basic principle of that's just who their support is most comfortable playing. Like, it could be something that simple, but...
Yeah, it probably could be.
This is what's kind of surprising me. Gragas actually getting picked up here by Tech Gaming, along with Jace.
Yeah.
So, I mean... one of those, either I'm gonna have to assume Gragas is gonna end up in the top lane.
I
just can't see really a Mumu going into a lane.
Well, actually, Gragas and Jace are fairly interchangeable. They both do well in both top and mid lane. Depending on who the matchup is, we may see. Depending on who the top lane is, we may just see Jace in the mid lane just to deal with the Ziggs. Mm-hmm. So Darkest Knight have an option to either pick up a scaling top laner, and that's what they'll do. They'll go for the late game, but lock in the Lucian, which is fairly interesting. I kind of expected the Jinx.
Oh wow, Bard getting grabbed immediately there is the last pick.
This is gonna be a fun game. This is going to be a fun game. I can tell.
There's only been a couple. I think we saw a Bard yesterday, if I recall correctly, and that was the first Bard that we've seen in all of last. So, I mean, he got played. I think he got played once at MSI, and now all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, cool, we can play him."
Yeah.
But looking at the two team comps, definitely a little bit more of the late game from Darkest Knight. Yeah, you don't have the greatest of late game skills like with Lucian and Ziggs. They are not the phenomenal late game, but they have the tools. Once you have Maokai and Rek'Sai, Rek'Sai also kind of falls off a little bit. So a really big mid game focus, more so from them, with a couple of tools to help them sustain in the late game, like having that big tanky Maokai. Whereas you look over at Tech Gaming, and Sivir is relevant all throughout the game. Jace, relevant all throughout the game. Amumu is kind of more towards that mid-game focus area, but of course that ultimate of his, Curse the Sad Mummy, relevant at any point. And Gragas, again, another huge game-changing ultimate. So with Gragas and Amumu, that can be such a devastating combo for them to throw out. But I don't really feel like either team has a clear-cut advantage off of the picks and bans.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting to me to see the Gragas picked with the Amumu because their ultimates don't really synergize that well together. If they're not extremely coordinated, we could see some pretty big misplays by either of those champions, either of those players. Just mistime the ultimate by 1 second, and a 5-man ultimate could turn into a 2-man ultimate.
Yeah, exactly. You really have to wait for the Amumu ultimate to go in first. Or to use that Gragas ultimate to try and split people up to go for a pick. Either way, looking at the summoner spells, while we have a chance, it is going to be Zanivek on the side of Darkest Knight Gaming in the top lane with Maokai. The jungler is Presk 0 TT on on the Rek'Sai. The Lucian and Nami bottom lane for Cold Hearted Knight and Lament of Dusk. Then Paulik playing the mid lane on that Ziggs.
Okay, and then for Team Tech, or is it Tech Gaming? It is Tech Gaming. In that top lane, it's going to be Mad Cow 457. Then in the jungle, it's going to be Bloodwolf 457. Then in the mid lane, it's going to be OG Little Saint And that bottom lane is going to be made up of Thor 74 on the 80 carry and Tweety the Bird on the Bard. That name sounds so familiar, Tweety the Bird.
I mean, it is a famous cartoon character, so.
I get it. I get it.
But the one thing I find interesting a bit is the fact that in the mid lane, Paulik decided to take the heal, running the duo heal for the team, which I've seen a couple of times. I'm not a big fan of it.
I feel as though like one of the main reasons why you take the heal instead of the barrier against the Jace is for the little extra mobility that it actually gives you. While it is worse than barrier when you're ignited, the extra move speed you gain while using it could save your life from that stray shock blast that's looking for the kill.
We will have to see how it plays out as we are getting on over to the loading screen. Just a moment once it does decide to appear. Let's see what skins both teams are bringing onto the Rift. There we go. So for the side of Darkest Night, it is Koi Nami, Master Arcanist Ziggs, Hired Gun Lucian, Classic Maokai, and Classic Rek'Sai. It's the third night in a row that we've seen Master Arcanist Ziggs now.
I mean, isn't that a that's not a legendary skin, is it?
It's 1350. It just came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a legendary skin, but it's still pretty. It looks pretty awesome.
It might as well be a legendary skin. Like they did so much work to it.
And on the red side, I don't see OG Little Saint's actually not connected to me, but it's gonna be Sad Robot Amumu and Warden Sivir.
We'll have to see if OG Little Saint can, once he does get connected, hopefully he does get connected.
Maybe it's the new Jace skin. That looks pretty awesome.
Could be. But we'll have to see if he does. Hopefully he can get connected. He was the one having issues during Champion Select as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully those got sorted and he's going to be able to connect to the game.
Yeah, so what happens if he doesn't connect? Do they just remake it?
Yeah, they do have the ability to remake the game within, I know there's a certain amount of time, I can't remember off the top of my head, as long as there hasn't been kills or things like that.
Okay. So hopefully we don't have that problem. But you know what, we can talk a little bit about what these win conditions are. As it is, all I see are just going to be two huge team fights. Siege potential a little bit in, actually fairly strong siege potential on both sides, maybe a little bit in favor of Tech Gaming.
I almost don't feel like there's, like they have a little bit of siege potential, but both sides have really strong wave clear as well, that there's not really, the siege I don't think is going to be able to come out too much. I mean,
yeah, I agree with
Ziggs
that.
is, the king of wave clear, whereas you have Jace, Sivir, and Gragas to offer up the wave clear on the side of Tech Gaming. So not really a whole lot of sieging I think is going to be happening. I think, like you said, it's going to be a lot of just the team fights or just trying to catch people out of position, get a couple of picks, and then push that way. So
yeah, so they still having some issues. Hopefully we don't have any of those as we continue once that Jace comes in. OG Little Saint, where are you?
yeah, hopefully he does get connected. It's never a fun situation to have your any of your players, but especially your mid laner, having connection issues.
Yeah. But talking about these lanes so far. Zanavek on the Maokai, Mad Cow on the Gragas. I feel as though it's just gonna be a huge wet noodle fight, or well, not early on, later on, maybe about 10 minutes. Like they just have so much sustain in their passives that any damage they do to each other is just gonna be healed back up.
Yeah, in the current meta.
If either one of them gets a advantage, at least one kill, I think that they're just gonna have that little bit of extra damage for them to kind of snowball that lane into their favor.
Yeah, with the current meta of it being, League of Tanks, as everyone likes to call it, you usually end up with just two big tanky top laners that aren't really going to do much of anything to each other. And unless there's a lot of jungle pressure, it does just turn into that wet noodle slap fight. I think the key to this one is actually a lot of it's going to lie in that bottom lane. Lucian and Sivir, if one of those two can get fed, then they're going to be the keys to carrying the game for their team. So that's where I'm going to be expecting a lot of action to be going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially because Bard and Nami can both make really aggressive plays, but also be very supportive of their AD carry in terms of healing and things of that nature.
Yeah, you don't really see Bard all too much getting picked. I feel like I still think he's fairly underwhelming in terms of support.
Mhm.
Like he has an extremely high skill cap, and if you can't effectively play him, you shouldn't at all because you can actually do more harm than good. It's mainly the ultimate.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue with Bard as a support is the fact that he gets so much out of roaming and leaving the lane early, which puts your AD carry in a 2v1 situation.
Well, that's why you pick the AD carry that's able to 2v1 early on, like the Caitlyn, like the Sivir. They'll do fine in a 2v1. They'll have enough mobility or a safety spell like the spell shield to keep themselves alive in the 2v1 in case the stray skull shot comes their way.
Yeah, it's I mean, even still though, even though you're playing an AD carry that can survive in the 2v1, it's never a fun situation to be stuck in a 2v1 lane. So that's my biggest issue with Bard, I feel, is the fact that you're forced to play a 2v1 essentially after a short amount of time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So how long do these teams actually have to pause for?
I believe it's 10 minutes if I remember off the top of my head. It's happened so rarely that I don't actually recall off the top of my head. I can I can pull up the information, but I don't have it readily on me at the moment.
No, it's okay. And these are best of ones, correct?
Correct.
Okay, man, that would be fun. Best of twos. I love
best of two.
Clearly, you guys.
How do you do a best?
You guys
of
can
two?
tell. It's not really best. It's not really best of two. It's just, you play two games, one game on each side, and it's like round robin. Like people, for those of you that are viewers and you know what I'm talking about, clearly you know that I love the Korean, tournament format.
Don't they play best of threes though? Don't they?
Nope, best of twos. No, you. Oh no, they did change it. They did change it. It is best of threes right now.
It's best of threes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, yeah. Never mind.
Mister, I love the Korean scene. Doesn't even know how the Korean scene works.
Because a lot of them never go to game three. Like, there's a large part of them don't go to game three because they're just so one-sided sometimes. Like right now, the top teams are probably GE Tigers and SKT, and oh my god, I'm like so sad that SKT went to MSI because I wanted to see GE Tigers and what kind of outfits they'd come out with. I remember one of the, I don't know if you guys know, but one of the weeks they came out with pink sweater vests and headphone ears on them, and it was like, I want that headset now. Like, I want it. Oh man, like they are. If any of their gaming careers don't take off past League, they can definitely go into fashion.
Well, the game has been unpaused. We will be getting into the action. It does seem that I assume Little Saint had reconnected. I didn't actually see any disconnect or reconnect call out, but he is moving, so he's clearly there.
Okay, so apparently he never disconnected. He was just having some lag issues.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Either way, we're underway. That's what's important.
He did reconnect, but like you said, we are underway, and right now, that was close. That was gonna cut out right there. But there was a fairly, I'm not gonna call it a defensive wave, a defensive fan set up by Team Tech. But they're gonna actually go with the magical journey. Not much of a journey though. They don't do anything with it. A lot of people do say it's all about the journey, not the it's about the journey, not the destination. But very boring journey right there.
Both sides just doing full 5-man invades, just getting some vision down for the side of Tech Gaming, but it's full 5-man invades, but they were on complete opposite sides of the jungle, and
yeah.
We'll have to see. Actually, there could be Gragas could be getting caught out a bit, making his way back up towards the top. Depends. Looks like nope, just vision going to be going down, then possibly repositioning.
He might try to do these Raptors. He can do it without the smite. Go back, teleport to the top lane at level 2, get a nice advantage. But it seems as though he's just going to end up walking all the way there. No jungle camps being taken away, but there is that one pink ward that was placed by Team Darkest Night. Yeah, and I really like that too because no jungler really ever checks that bush early on. So that's just free information. Well, not really free. That's information that they got for 100 gold that's going to be lasting for well over 10 minutes.
Very likely. I mean, there is still the chance because Amumu doesn't have a very strong clear. He could just take the first half of his jungle, and then if he walks out through the mid base gate, he may end up walking through that bush to go to his red buff. Yeah. So, nope, looks like he's actually going to go straight over to his red buff. Which he
didn't take the wolf camp, which is fine. It's not a unlikely Amumu path, but it's something that is rarely seen because you're not going to be ganking that early as the Amumu.
Yeah, the other thing to note is that Rek'Sai did not get a leash starting off at the wolves, and actually just went wolves and immediately went down to the red side of the jungle. So, there. Oh, is Amumu gonna? Nope, doesn't check the bush. Doesn't find the pink.
No, but they'll just be able to know where he is. While it is a good ward, it's not going to give too much information past this point until the next 5 minutes, probably about 8 minutes when he takes the next red buff.
Yeah, it is nice though, like you said, it lets you know which half of the jungle he's on. Like they know for a fact he's still up on that blue side or on the red buff side of his jungle, so their bottom lane can play a little bit more aggressive for Tech Gaming, while Gragas knows he has to be a little bit safer, at least temporarily.
Yeah, and you can see that they're playing aggressive. There's a lot of poke being traded around, but those supports have the ability to heal their AD carries right back up. Thor actually a little bit low in the mana pool, so hopefully he doesn't run into too many issues. Meanwhile, Bloodwolf's going to be starting up on those Krugs.
I mean, it is a Sivir, so, just has to spell shield one of those bubbles as they come in to fix all those mana issues. So, I'm not going to be too concerned about the mana pool.
Yeah, you do need to watch out for when you use that spell shield, because if you do it too early, Lucian will have the opportunity to pop it, and you'll still be locked down. So you got to be really careful about that. Right now, Bloodwolf, he ran out of blue, but he's going to be looking for the Scuttle Crab, and actually, Prescott knows that he's there. This might be the collapse coming out from Paul as well. There's the knockup. They're going to be putting a little bit of damage on him. Scuttle Crab did go over to Bloodwolf, but that's the flash as well. He should be able to survive. Yeah, meanwhile, on the top lane, Zanabek taking a hell of a lot of damage from Mad Cow, but he should be able to survive for now.
Yeah, it was a lot of damage being put down, but here comes the gank from Rek'Sai in the top lane while they're fighting in the bottom lane as well.
Oh, wait. I don't see anything.
There's Mad Cow being dropped pretty low. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, they were having a small skirmish, but pretty much everyone or really only Bard, Tweety the Bird, taking too much damage there. But again, heals on both sides means that they're not going to be too concerned about being dropped to half health.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know, I think my league lagged. Still lagging, actually.
Yeah, it's been having, a couple people's clients have been having issues recently. So, meanwhile, up top, again, Mad Cow keeping Zanavek pretty low. The gank from Rek'Sai did help give him some space, but Zanovic just immediately going right back in on him.
Yeah. Still staying in that lane despite Mad Cow full health. Prescott will be there.
As soon as you say that he's staying in lane, he starts to recall.
So it's a caster curse, man. It is the caster curse.
I think secretly they listen in on us and are like, oh, he's saying this, we gotta do the exact opposite.
Meanwhile, Prescott goes in, Mad Cow taking a bit of damage, going back, unburrows, the spike not doing too much. Mad Cow should be able to escape. Prescott doesn't have enough damage just yet with only that Stalker's Blade.
It is going to force Mad Cow to have to recall, though, which isn't a terrible idea anyway, just considering you want to kind of match your lane opponent and keep up with them. So both top laners going to be grabbing the Catalyst, the Protector.
Yeah, and Bloodwolf.
Oh, and there's the pink ward getting found.
Yeah, that's the great part about the Raptor camp. You'll know where ward is placed, even if it is pink ward. And actually, they're gonna be going in with that magical journey. GOG Little Saint is there. Lament of Dusk, you're gonna be going down. No, the heal's still alive. OG Little Saint taking a little bit of tower damage. The flash coming out from Cold Hardened Knight, and he is so low. That's the flash. The auto attack is gonna find it first blood going over to Thor.
Great job.
Here comes the roam coming out from Paul. Can he get anything? He's full health, full mana, throws down the minefield, but he's going to be knocking himself away. The last auto attack, though, will be finding a kill onto Tweety.
That was a great initial gank from Bard and Jace coming through with the magical journey and bringing the mid laner in. I mean, you can't really expect it because Bard is going to be roaming the map constantly. So the fact that once Bard leaves lane, it's not like you're not usually thinking, oh, he's going to be coming around and coming through with the mid laner all of a sudden through the wall. That's not what you're expecting. Yeah. So,
and it was a bit of a mistake by Cold Hearted Knight to try and attempt the 1v1, 1-for-1. By flashing in, you're guaranteeing yourself to die. And I understand that he wanted to put some gold into his pocket, but you essentially died and you've given the enemy AD carry a kill, which was not the greatest choice right there. We did see Prescott looking for the enemy blue buff, but he was forced away. Actually puts down a ward, may try to steal it. Nope, goes in with that unburrow, and Bloodwolf, I don't think you can fight him just yet. Level 6, but a nice banish toss does find his way down onto him. And being level 6, he does have Curse this time on me available. It's gonna be used, but can he be locked down long enough? No, he can't. But that's the nice shock blast. Took a hell damage. Prescott, though, so low, but doesn't die.
Yeah, great save by Ziggs, able to come to his jungler's rescue. The shock blast almost picking up that kill, but just not quite. Right now, Paulik is low, though.
Yeah, but OG Lil Saint is low as well. Paulik, though, low on mana, so he can't really go in past that. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Zanovic and Mad Cow just going to be trading some blows.
Yeah, looking at the CS right now, this game has been really even with the exception of that top lane where Gragas has just been really winning out in terms of farm against Maokai. Every other lane, we're seeing just a 1 or 2 CS difference between the laners, so yeah, really close matchup thus far. Where even on kills, the gold is just about 1,000 gold differential in favor of Tech Gaming.
Yeah, and the really unfortunate thing for Mad Cow is that even though he has a CS lead over Zanovic, it's really not going to make a huge impact into the game, which is really sad to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it is in the top lane against the Maokai. However, if he's going to be going in here, he has the ability to get the kill. The ultimate is up.
Yeah, he has a lot of mana, and Zanovic forced to flash out. His Vengeful Middlestrom has been popped. Mad Cow looking for the dive, and he will be getting it with the body slam and an auto attack. Bloodwolf was there just in case things went a little bit south.
That was a great job by Mad Cow getting the 1v1. And now that he has a kill under his belt, that big CS lead and a kill could actually start making that turn into a pretty big differential up top.
Yeah. Tweety Bird, man, you're taking a lot of damage, and Thor just really wasn't in a position to fight back. It doesn't even seem as though he wanted to fight back.
Yeah, not
Let's
too.
just, yeah.
Tweety the Bird being really aggressive with this Bard. I think it's more just to try and get them as low as possible. Like, force them to use a lot of mana from Nami for healing, and just trying to harass so that when he does start roaming around to pick up those meeps and help other lanes, that it gives Sivir as the best situation as possible.
Yeah. Meanwhile, looks as though we're going to be seeing a bit of roam coming out from OG, Lil Saint, and Bloodwolf. Maybe headed to the bottom lane. They were spotted out by Word. Paulik, though, doesn't have his ultimate available, so he can't assist that bottom lane unless he heads there immediately.
Yeah, they are definitely going to get spotted, and everyone from Darkest Night just immediately backing off.
Yeah, there's the calling they use to clear out the minion wave. They won't be able to take this. Here comes Paulik to get there as well. Bloodwolf does have Curse of the Sad Mummy available, so this is going to be a pretty big fight if it does go down. Paulik, no ultimate for him, however. Meanwhile, both of those top laners with the teleport, so we may see a full 5v5 fight.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, both top laners do have a way to stop their opponent's teleport as well, so it will be something to keep an eye on. Looks like Tech Gaming may just start rotating over towards this dragon and get this started up. They have the advantageous position.
Yeah, it's taking a lot of damage. Bloodwolf taking there for his team initially, but that's Tweety Bird gonna get the flank with the magical journey, and Bloodwolf gets a nice side Mommy locks down 3 members, and that's gonna be Core getting a kill onto the Lucian. Meanwhile, Lemon of Dusk still alive, and Paulik consistently putting out that damage. OG Lil Saint, Bloodwolf, Thor, all forced to back away for it now. That's the bouncing bomb. It's not gonna find its mark. Prescott still wants to go in. Thor, he's gonna be able to survive, but Bloodwolf, there's a flash! No, the ultimate from Ziggs bursting down so low. Can they survive? The bouncing bomb just gonna be sidestepped. And oh god, so little casualties right now.
Yeah, when all was said and done, it was a 1-for-1, I believe? Or was it a 2-for-1?
I think it was a 1-for-1. Tweety, I think, did die.
Yep, I know it was at least a 1-for-1. I'm not sure if they had picked up a second kill or not.
No, they did not.
Right, yeah, because Gragas had the 1v1 kill up top. So yeah, 1-for-1. And no dragon picked up either. An absolutely chaotic fight. That it looked like it should have been so heavily in favor of Tech Gaming, but just got completely turned around. We are going to be seeing another pause come out. Looks like OG Little Saint didn't quite fix all of his issues.
Yeah, I mean, in that fight, you had the initial flank from OG Little Saint with the Magical Journey. They immediately took out Cold Hearted Knight. So he wasn't a factor in that fight. And then Bloodwolf followed up with a beautiful Curse of the Sad Mummy onto the 3 people, including Cold Hearted Knight, but since he was taken out of the equation. So they locked down Paulik. I think the problem after that was they just didn't focus him down, and honestly, he was like near full health near the end of that fight. Granted, it was because of the Nami, but you really got to take down that Ziggs if you want to win these fights right now.
Yeah, and it's that Ziggs, like you said, is going to be the absolute key for Tech Gaming to focus on. I'm gonna be. You have to keep an eye on this dragon. Both teams now with a lot of vision around that area, as it is still on the board. 14 minutes in is a pretty long time for a dragon to still be available.
Yeah. Just some damage being put down in that mid lane. Paulik with the shock blast. Actually, Gragas going in with the body slam. Doesn't really do anything past that, however.
The other thing right now is that the Zanivek did use his teleport, whereas Mad Cow did not. So if Tech Gaming wants to force another fight down by the dragon, they do have that teleport advantage.
Yeah. And, that's going to be Bloodwolf caught out by the Ocker Prison. Just a bit of damage. Actually, quite a lot of damage. Just over half health. Well, there's the chimes. Gonna be healing up Tweety.
Yep. That's the really good vision on this bottom half of the map for Darkest Night Gaming. Like there's been multiple gank attempts ever since that first one came down with Bard and Jace. They have just had really good vision control this bottom area to be able to see anybody making a move on down. So
yeah, but likewise, Tech has just as amazing vision control, maybe even a little bit better because it's a little bit more widespread.
I was just saying because there's been so much effort put into trying to gank this bottom lane from Tech Gaming, but it hasn't panned out yet because of the fact that Darkest Night has seen it coming each time. So the vision wars are definitely real in this match. So both teams knowing that how important vision is and focusing on making sure that they have that kind of control. We'll have to see how it plays out. Again, it's been, for the most part, pretty just a standard, everyone just kind of sticking with their lanes, and it's still incredibly even, again, with the exception of that top lane, which could end up becoming a large factor as team fights really do start breaking out. Gragas going to be just slightly ahead of Maokai all the way through.
Yeah, and he has that righteous glory for himself, so when he does teleport to join his team, they're going to be getting a nice bit of movement speed on top of the on the hunt from Thor in these fights. And I'm actually kind of disappointed. Bloodwolf was out taking red buff near the top, and if Darkest Night had a ward anywhere in that top lane, they could have known that it was a free dragon for them. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, OG Lilton actually finishing up the Manamune, so he'll be stacking up the Muramana. Once that's all finished up and he's cried all of his tears, he'll be doing a lot of damage. I think that's what the item actually means. You suffer now and then you pay back later.
Could be. It's you have to put so many tears into the into your weapon, and then it becomes stronger.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like there should be a similar thing with oh god, why did I just forget the name of the item?
Seraph's Embrace?
No. AD carry, lifesteal.
Bloodthirster?
Yes, Bloodthirster. I feel like this should be a thing where, like, after you do so much damage while you have it equipped, it upgrades. So it's like, you've put the blood of your enemies into the sword. I think that'd be a pretty cool item lore wise.
It would be nice. It would be extremely nice. But yeah. Oh, that's actually gonna be the ultimate used by Bard. Magical Journey bringing Bloodwolf in as well. On the hunt has been popped. They lock down Lament of Dusk, but they don't get Cold Hearted Knight locked down. But they do pick up the kill.
Not sure about the Amumu ult being used there. It has a relatively long cooldown. And it's now just going to be unavailable for any team fights and was used just to pick up a support. I don't feel like it was necessary. The Bard ult was beautiful. I mean, locking them up there for... It did only hit, again, onto Lament of Dusk, but still, just being able to lock someone up to give you the time to get in with that magical journey is great use of that ultimate. But again, the Amumu one I don't feel like was... should have been used there, especially if they're going to start looking towards Dragon.
Yeah,
that's a big ultimate not available.
I'm surprised they didn't just do it immediately, being in the 4v5 the 3v4 situation. Oh, and Banditot's gonna be finding Prescott, but he was a little bit too far away because of that burrow. Bloodwolf though taking a lot of damage. Aquabrace and gonna have to be flashed away, but he's still gonna be taken down. Prescott taking the kill. No, it's actually Lament of Dusk getting that one. That's Magical Journey gonna be bringing Little Saint. And then, oh man, Cold Hearted Knight going in, has the exhaust down onto him. The Mega Inferno Bomb goes out, but this isn't going to kill. Meanwhile, Flash coming from Lament of Dusk. He's taking a lot of damage. He's just forced to back away from his team, but he's actually going to be able to get away. They can't exactly follow up onto that. And Darkest Night, they will be rewarded with one kill onto the jungler.
Yeah, and that was the exact situation I was talking about. If the Curse of the Sad Mummy had been available there, Bloodwolf could have taken 2 steps to the left while they were chasing him, popped that ultimate, and locked up everybody on the team. And it could have possibly turned that entire fight around. But instead, it had been used for a single kill in the bottom lane when it really didn't need to be. And little mistakes like that are things that can absolutely cost you a game.
And now that Mad Cow has used teleport to get to that fight near that mid lane, now Zadovek has the teleport advantage. All he has to do is walk into that lane, and Darkest Night, if they pressure the dragon, Zadovek simply teleports there, they give up that top lane tower, but they do take the first dragon of the game, and at 20 minutes, it's long overdue. Right now, Thor gonna be knocked up by Prescott. I don't think they'll be able to get the kill, but that's a lot of damage onto the Bard. Heal and flash used from Thor to keep him alive. Flash and heal.
Those summoner spells getting burned. If you can keep track of them, you know, knowing when they're available, if for repeat fights and ganks to be able to come down. There is the first tower of the game going to be picked up there by Little Saint.
Prescott doing the dragon solo. He can. I mean, he can do it. He has the Stalker's Blade with the Juggernaut enchantment and the Giant's Belt, so he's plenty tanky to do this. But Bloodwolf, is he gonna spot this out?
Yep.
No. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, he did.
He sees it. Prescott. His team needs to collapse right now because this dragon is so low. It's the smite battle, and it's gonna go to Prescott. He's gonna be locked down. A kill will be given over, but he does secure the dragon for his team, which is what he wanted.
And absolutely worth trading a kill for dragon. You will take that at any point. So, great job by Prescott to not flinch when he saw. A lot of times, if someone's trying to solo the dragon and they see someone else coming, they just get out of there immediately. But he just didn't flinch, stayed in that pit, waited. He was confident in his ability to win the smite war, and he did it. Got the smite, gave up his life, but getting that objective for your team can be absolutely huge. However, they are now going to be losing a tower in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and meanwhile, OG Little Saint, a little bit beforehand, did take the tower in the mid lane as well. So right now, Tech Gaming do have a bit of a gold lead, close to 5,000. And really, yeah, like the dragon being given over to Darkest Night, that was just due to the lack of warding, and they can't really afford to do that, especially being 20 minutes into this game and dragon not being taken down once. You have to realize that that's going to be the prime objective for every single team, for both teams actually, not every single team, but both teams.
And because of the fact that these two teams are, again, they're both so heavily team fight focused that getting that 5th stack of dragon is going to be a really big objective for them as this game goes on.
Dude, Tweety Bird gonna use that magical journey, get himself away. Bit of sticky situation, but it's difficult to catch that little canary. Just ask Sylvester. He spent years.
Yeah, it's having to see right now Tech Gaming getting little victories across the board, with the exception of that dragon going down. Right now, Prescott and Zenvek, here's the full-on wet noodle fight is in full effect.
They can't even do anything. Prescott gonna be joining it, so a little bit of damage going down onto Mad Cow. Can he get away? He has that body slam to do it. And Zenvek, being low on mana, can't really twist an advance to go back in. Prescott, though, he's manaless. He doesn't care.
Mad Cow also still having that ultimate to save himself if need be as well, so he's going to be perfectly fine up there. Flash still available too, so great job to get out of that fight without burning any of those two big cooldowns. And now just being like, whatever, I can go back in. Needs to be careful though, because Prescott is lurking just around the corner.
Yeah, like you said, Mad Cow does have the explosive cast. He should be able to survive. That's body slam, and just some BM.
Yeah, knowing that, hey, I'm a big tanky fat man, you can't kill me. And again, twice now being able to escape the gank without using flash or explosive cask. That is just so tanky and so little damage.
Yeah, OG Little Saint actually did spot out Prescott in the river. He should be able to be fine. Mad Cow, that's going to be an explosive cast, finding Xanavek. The Shock Blast as well, and this is going to be OG Little Saint. He's going to show Prescott what real damage is. Mad Cow with the dive, though. Where's the Jace to follow up? But the Shock Blast! Oh, it didn't even connect because Mad Cow will get it instead. Whoa, Mad Cow playing with fire and surviving to tell the tale.
That was extremely close, but playing it out perfectly. He did finally use that flash, but he used it offensively instead of defensively. The Bartle's not going to connect.
In the bottom lane, it did not connect, but Bloodwolf going to be there to follow up. Thor wants to get this kill, but it's actually going to be Bloodwolf getting it instead. He's going for an additional kill, but Cold-Hearted Knight gonna be able to survive. Negative Ferdinand was just used by Polyk, not able to find its mark. Thor gonna be able to walk away from this. Bloodwolf as well.
Yeah, that was a great job by Tech Gaming. Really, Thor74 predicting the monsoon to be coming out, or the tidal wave.
On the hunt, just used by the Sivir, trying to get everyone out of here. But Bloodwolf may have to be the sacrificial lamb. Nope, he should be able to survive. Prescott looking for the Unburrow, but he realized they're too far away.
Just something I want to point out: those little meeps that follow Bard around look like little Tweety birds. So super appropriate for Tweety the bird to be playing Bard.
Illuminati confirmed.
Yep. So meanwhile, 8-3 on the kills in favor of Tech Gaming. Already up to, I mean, this gold lead has just kind of suddenly exploded for them with 5 towers picked up in the game. Already now over almost 1,000 gold lead at 26 minutes, just kind of out of nowhere.
Tech Gaming really doesn't want to be last place.
Yeah, evidently, as they are now. They have the tools to continue pressing this advantage. Again, the fact that they have taken out both towers in the bottom and top lanes, it's just, again, it was really quiet because there's been so few kills on the board and so few full-on fights, and yet they're just steadily increasing their gold lead through CSing and objectives.
Yeah, and right now, we can actually look at these builds. OG Little Saint is so strong. I'll get back to that because it's a beautiful Bard ultimate. Thor didn't really combo it up. He's going to be able to spell shield down Nami, Tidal Wave, and get a kill onto Cold-Hearted Knight. Now they're going to be looking for something else. An explosive cast will be knocking Lavender Dusk into that wall. The Mega Inferno will be finding Thor, the heal coming out from him as well to keep himself alive. Prescott, though, you're taking a lot of damage, and he's going to be going down to OG Little Saint. No casualties on the side of Tech Gaming just yet. They're all going to be able to survive on the hunt, used again defensively at this point, and they will be rewarded with 2 kills and now a dragon.
Yeah, that was another great fight started out by Tech Gaming, using these Bard ultimates just to say, hey, we're going to lock you in place so that we can get right up in your face so that there's no way you can run from this engagement. And it's been working out for them. Like you mentioned, getting that first dragon for the team, but also picking up 2 more kills that have been unanswered, and just showing that they are at the current state of the game. Yeah. They are just outright the stronger team for these team fights, which is very bad news for Darkest Night.
Guess what? Muramana just completed by OG Lil Saint. His damage output just went from absolutely insane with the Last Whisper and Yomu's to oh my god, what is this damage? And meanwhile, actually, Bloodwolf doesn't even care about being the front line, it seems. Has the components of Leandries in his inventory, so he's really going to go for a bit of damage output, which may not be one of the greatest calls, but being so far ahead, his team being so far ahead, it may end up working out. Look at that damage coming out from Shock Blast. Puts Cold-Hearted Knight to a bit under half health. He was full health before.
Yeah, that is just a ton of damage to try and deal with.
And we thought Ninja's teams were bad.
Oh my goodness. Now chunking down Paul League as well. While this is going on, actually, there was... looks like Grog is going to go do some split pushing up top. But this is what I was talking about earlier on. They're trying to siege up this tower, using that damage to try and poke. But there's enough healing and wave clear that they really weren't able to do much with that siege.
Oh! That's Lament of Dust, taking a lot of damage. Gonna be able to heal himself back up. Oh, but look at that, Thor caught out. He's gonna be able to survive with the On the Hunt, and a beautiful Bard ultimate locks out onto 3 people. It looks as though we did see Thor did go down as well as Bloodwolf, but Tweety the Bird locked down as well. This is gonna be a really nice fight for Team Darkest Night. Now they'll be looking for Mad Cow, but he should be able to survive. 1 kill only going over to Tech Gaming. OG Little Saint did pop the Yomu's, looking for a Shock Blast. It does find Polyk, but it doesn't find a kill.
Yeah, that was just, unfortunately, a poor fight for Tech Gaming. It was 4v5 in favor of Darkest Night, so great job by them taking advantage of that situation, seeing that Gragas wasn't anywhere near the mid lane and just going in, getting themselves a couple of picks. They did lose one, but still, it's not quite enough. Like they did, yeah, it was a 3-for-1, but you're not gonna if you can't kill the Jason Gragas have been doing a lot of work for the team.
Yeah.
So has Thor, obviously. Thor, just the positioning on Sivir there wasn't the best, but if it is a full 5v5, 5 versus 5 fight, the advantage is still in Tech Gaming's court. But that was just a good sign from Darkest Night to say, hey, we can capitalize on your mistakes, on your decision to split off of having all 5 mid. We can capitalize on that, and if they continue to do so, that's going to be their road back into this game.
Yeah, and I feel as though one of the main problems right there is that they didn't allow that bottom lane to push, because it was already pushing in their favor. They would have had to send someone to answer it, otherwise that tower would have been taking a lot of punishment. When they did do that, that could have opened up the siege in the bottom lane. But they just were a little bit too impatient. They sent the Gragas to the top lane immediately to kind of clean that wave up, but they didn't really have to worry about it because it was already even. Meanwhile, it does seem as though Paulik finished up the Luden's Echo for himself, so he's essentially the only one needed to clear a wave now. They can have Cold-Hearted Knight go to the bottom lane and clean it out without having to be with the Ziggs for some guaranteed wave clear.
Looking at the side of Tech Gaming, we see now even more items being finished off. Sivir sitting on 3 items to Lucian's 2.
Yeah, that's just the fact that he has 5 kills and Cold-Hearted Knight has 5 assists.
Yeah, that's just not gonna cut it, unfortunately, for the AD carry position.
Looks like Paulik actually was caught out by the Tempered Fade, but no one there to follow up immediately. He should be able to just actually even use Flash. He used Flash.
Yeah, he flashed away from it. Dragon is coming up in a little over a minute. Going back to the item advantages that Tech Gaming has, this 10,000 gold lead is just leading to big advantages across the board, really. You have 3 completed items.
Oh, that's gonna be the right story. Looking for something onto OG Lil Saint, maybe even just take him out of the fight. There's still a minute left on that Dragon timer, so it's not gonna do too much. You can just end up walking back. But with all 5 members in the mid lane, they could just be looking for this mid lane tower. Mad Cow does connect the wave, and only 1 auto attack really put on set. Oh, that's a nice curse money. It's gonna set up a nice fight. Thor getting in, Boomerang Blade, and this will be the on being popped as well. A nice Gragas to it, separating the enemy team, and they take out Cold-Hearted Knight from the fight. They're looking for something else. Meanwhile, OG Lil Saint does take out the Maokai, and now they're just gonna be chasing Lion of Dusk. He's gonna be going down to Thor, and Pings going down onto the Baron. They find 4 kills. Can they find Prescott? I don't think they will, but they don't care. They're just going to be getting the Baron buff and then the Dragon.
Yeah, definitely. That is, again, the 5 versus 5 fight. There's the board going down. Now they know where Prescott is, but see if he can try and get the steal. This would be a miracle steal if I ever saw one. It is not going to come through.
He's just going to die. Flash is away. He's not going to die.
Oh,
Tempered Fate. There it is. Tempered Fate finding him. Now you're going to die. Thor getting that kill. They do get that 4-second back, so they'll just be heading over to the Dragon. I don't think Darkest Night is gonna be able to get it. They're a little bit late on that.
Yeah, that was that's what I was talking about. The 5v5 fight from Tech Gaming is just so much stronger. They're so far ahead, and I'm just really impressed by the fact that they did it very quietly. That's one of the first times we've seen a team really take a huge advantage just off of the map control. And almost every other game in the entire season for last has been, the team that has been picked up a huge gold lead. They did it by just constantly winning fights and then getting the objectives. And Tech Gaming here, they did it just by getting the objectives, and then have been winning the fights after that, now that they have the lead.
Yeah.
So,
and, going back to that last fight, they really kind of set themselves up to fail when they grouped as 5 when the Amumu was on the enemy team. Like, you really can't afford to give him such a high value ultimate like that. That was just really poor planning on them. And the reason why I was actually laughing right there was the fact that Lament of Dusk was able to take out that Pink Ward in the Dragon Pit, but Cold Hearted Knight just had to watch.
Yep. It's now with this Baron buff, looks like Tech Game is going to be splitting up, forcing Darkest Knight to have to make a decision. Oh my goodness, that damage from Jace is incredible right now.
With the Baron buff, it's going to be so much harder to clear out these waves. The Tempered Fate doesn't really find anyone, but they now know Bard is on the wrong side of the team. Meanwhile, Thor is there to back him up, and they actually do a lot of damage to Prescott. Meanwhile, Bloodwolf did take a kill onto Zanivek, and they're actually looking for this fight. Cold Hearted Knight taking down Tweety Bird, getting the kill right there. He's looking for something onto Prescott. That's a Bard you're scared of. Tidal Wave, meanwhile, in the mid lane, just to clear out the enemy team, but they won't be able to do it. And this will be... Oh, that's a beautiful journey. That's a beautiful journey.
Yeah,
they do take that.
When we had a Bard the other day, the Bard was actually on the losing team, and as the Nexus was exploding, used the magical journey to go through the Nexus. That was a pretty fun one. Yeah. But right there, just poor decision making from the side of Darkest Knight Gaming. They were also focused on trying to defend that inner tower in mid lane, that Thor and Tweety the Bird just went down bottom with those Baron buff minions and completely destroyed the inhibitor tower. And then Darkest Knight made the decision to rotate down, try and get a pick onto those two after the inhibitor tower was down, which allowed the rest of the three members of Tech Gaming to just shove in mid lane and destroy the inner tower and the inhibitor tower there as well. So now all of a sudden you're going to have two lanes of super minions pushing into your base that you're going to have to deal with, while Tech Gaming is still this far ahead, now growing that gold lead even further. I don't know if... I don't feel like there's going to be a clear way for Darkest Knight to get back into this game, especially as this is
walking a little bit too far out to clean out a ward. That's going to be Bloodwolf trying to lock down the Maokai. I don't think he will be able to. So Zanivek not going to die for his mistake, but really costly mistake as for that, man. He tried to clear out a ward so deep into enemy territory with no team to back him up. I mean, what are you going to get from clearing out that vision? Your team is kind of stuck in their base now. There's just really no reason to be that far out.
Yeah, and the fact that they're, again, like you mentioned, so far behind means that you do just have to give up the objectives. You even almost have to give up your entire jungle and just try and play that super turtle defense, which, being behind almost 20,000 gold now, even that's very likely not going to work. It's such a massive gold lead to try and overcome. Your only way back in at this point is by capitalizing on a mistake from the enemy team. But instead, Zanivek was the one making a bit of a mistake there, as now it looks like Tech Gaming want to just push in this top lane, try and take down this third and final inhibitor.
Yeah, they're going to be grouping as for. Here comes the fifth, Little Saint. Going to be joining the team. No Baron buff. Tempered Fate doesn't really find anyone, but they're going to go for the fight anyway. Bloodwolf trying to get someone down, and he's going to find Zanivek. He's taken down very low, however, forced out of the fight immediately. OG Little Saint taking that kill. Cold Hearted Knight has the exhaust, and it's going to be a double kill for this Jace. Not a triple kill, Thor taking that instead, but Paulik trying to survive. Little Saint taking up both of those towers. He's going to get a shutdown over to Prescott, but this fight, it's already over. The game's already over. This is going to be Tech Gaming. They just have to work on these Nexus towers instead. They're looking for the fight. That's going to be a better for the one. Finding the kill onto Bloodwolf. Now this is just sloppy play at this point. Thor trying to stay alive. Prescott desperately wants this kill. Can he 2v1? 3v1 instead. Flashing away. No, he can't. Mad Cow taking the kill. Meanwhile, Super Minions dealing with that Nexus tower as Paulik now forced into the 1v3 situation. 5 more seconds for Zanivek. Can he get back up? No, I don't think he can. Mad Cow, and there's the Super Minions. This game's over. It's going to be Tech Gaming evening up the score 1-7. They're tied for last place.
I have some very, very, very unfortunate news. That is entirely my fault, and I am going to right now issue a very public apology to Darkest Night Gaming and Tech Gaming. I had the team swapped. And Desi Fresh is about to just walk out because that was actually Darkest Night Gaming on the red side with Tech Gaming on the blue.
You know, well, why you gotta do this to me?
I totally didn't. I just completely wasn't paying full attention at the to the rosters, and just it completely slipped my mind. So my huge apologies to both teams. That was actually Darkest Night Gaming.
I feel so. I think I need the apology right now because the entire game, I'm like, man, Tech Gaming, they're trying to even this thing up. They don't want to be last place.
Oh boy, I was doing the same thing, to be fair, but oh man. I am so sorry to both teams, but again, it was Darkest Night Gaming picking up the victory over Tech Gaming.
Tell me this. Was it right on the VOD? Was it right on the stream?
Maybe. I'm going to say maybe.
Wait, how do you not know? Like,
also known as no.
Oh, God.
I completely had it wrong. I am so sorry to both teams. However, that is going to do it for our first game. We will have our second one. Second game scheduled for the night is going to be VWS versus Forever Foolish. We are going to take a short break, and we will be back in just a few minutes.